What's going on, everyone? We're back with episode 4 of Instant Replay. Due to some suggestions, people have kind of said that they want to see maybe a video component including in the podcast. So I'm here today to try out the video aspect of it. So let me know what you think after the podcast. I'm back due to popular demand with my good friend Mac Turchan. Mac, thanks for coming back.
Get to see our ugly mugs this week.
For sure. We got a busy week this week. But first, we're going to talk about kind of what's shaping the sports world, what everyone is talking about, and that is Holly Holm defeating Ronda Rousey on Saturday night in UFC 193. So, Mac, can you kind of just take us through what happened? I know you saw some highlights. Tell us what happened. What happened to Ronda Rousey?
Ronda Rousey was proven to be just a mere mortal. Everybody thought she was a god. I'm sure she thought she was a god. Holly Holm obviously didn't. She exploited her weaknesses. Holly Holm was a world boxing champion for women. Beat her with her strikes and didn't let Rousey go on the ground, and it wasn't even close.
No, it wasn't close at all.
It wasn't even close.
No, not even close. And I think, this is going to be really interesting to see how UFC kind of develops from here. I mean, like you said, Ronda Rousey was their golden girl. She was the best that there is, and they had made a market out of her, you know what I mean? So now, having an undefeated champion in Holly Holm, people might say, oh no, this is not good for the UFC. But you know what? I don't think it's as bad as people think it might be for the actual organization. I think what you're going to end up happening is Miesha Tate, who we all know has a big rivalry with Ronda Rousey. She was actually in contention to fight Ronda Rousey in Australia.
Sure.
So I think what's going to happen is you're going to see Miesha Tate go after someone like Holly Holm. They're gonna have a fight. I don't know when. And then the winner of that is going to take on Ronda Rousey. Again, Ronda Rousey is going to try to get her belt back. So I think that the UFC wins no matter what. Either you have Miesha Tate versus Ronda Rousey for title belt in I think it'll be round 3 of their battle, won't it?
Sure.
And then it'll be the rematch between Holly Holm and Ronda Rousey, which I think is probably going to be the most anticipated UFC fight in history. So I think it's not as bad for the UFC as people are making it out to be. But like you said, Ronda Rousey was just mucked up. It wasn't even close.
Straight up.
It's like I've never seen anything like it.
It was the biggest upset, I think, in maybe fighting history,
for sure.
At least.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Sports history. This woman was the most powerful sports figure in the world. She seemed more unstoppable than, anyone. We're talking, LeBron James, anyone.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people compare her to Serena Williams.
Yep.
As one of the most dominant, or as the most dominant female athlete. But the difference with Serena is, Serena loses matches. She gets eliminated from tournaments, but then, she can just enter the next one, you know what I mean? But I think what's different for Rousey is she will, now in her career, no matter how long it goes on, even if she never loses again, she's always going to have that one loss.
She's going to have
always going to have that one loss to Holly Holm, and people are going to remember it.
People aren't going to see her the same ever again. She'll never have the same star power again because she has that loss. I mean, the biggest thing was she was untouchable. She couldn't be beat.
Yep.
She was beat.
Yeah, and I think it'll be very interesting to see kind of. I know that Rousey and Floyd Mayweather have had quite the dispute over their careers. So you know what? I think that obviously Floyd is going to really, and I think he started to already kind of really press Rousey about this, really rouse her about it. He's a bit of a fool.
Yeah, he looks for trouble.
Yeah.
Well, he looks for fights, even though he's not going to go and fight Rousey, but
no,
that would be quite a treat to watch her just beat him up.
But it's a case of there's such polar opposites, right? I mean, Ronda Rousey was the fighter, or I guess still is, that everyone wanted to cheer for. Yeah. You know what I mean? People liked her.
Oh yeah.
And Floyd, no one wanted to see him beat Pacquiao. Everyone wanted Manny to win
everybody
that
was
fight.
on the Manny.
And it's a case of it's just the way that they fought. I mean, Floyd is probably is the greatest defensive boxer in boxing history.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He's got
Yep.
quick feet, quick hands. But then you see someone like Rousey, and you know why people like her, because she just beats the living crap out of people.
Yep, true.
Like what was it? I don't know. I can't remember how long her last 3 fights lasted, but it was
Like
less
40,
than a
40,
yeah. It was
45 seconds.
It was just
or
something
like
absolutely
that.
ridiculous, right? And I mean, Floyd does not have nearly as many knockouts as Rousey.
Floyd
does.
just goes to decision.
Yeah, for sure. So I think Floyd will definitely kind of ride this victory to assert himself as the greatest fighter of all time. But I mean, Ronda, even with this one loss, she'll always be considered less than Floyd because of that one loss, I think.
Yeah.
But she just, if you look at her past, she just destroys people.
Yeah.
She fights the way people want to see.
It'll be interesting if she comes back and she fights Misha Tate or she fights Holly Holm. It'll be interesting to see whether this fight was a fluke, because watching it, it didn't look like a fluke, but really, like, if she comes back, will she figure out how to beat Holly Holm? Who knows?
For sure. Yeah, like you said, it was. From the highlights I saw, I'll say I didn't watch it live, but she seemed focused going in. She seemed like classic Ronda Rousey,
Yeah.
and then she seemed to do everything that she knew Holm was going to try to get her to do, and yet still did it anyways. She was flailing wildly. There was no kind of control, and Holm was dancing brilliantly and landing those shots that she needed to. So I think she just kind of fell into Holm's trap. I think she got complacent with the success that she's had, and it cost her.
She just thought, she could do whatever she wants before, and she thought she could just, it didn't matter what her strategy was this time, maybe, and it cost her. She didn't bring a good strategy to the table, and she lost because of it.
Yeah, for sure. So, anyways, I'm sure we won't hear much from Ronda Rousey over the next little while. I know she's taking some time off, but it'll definitely be interesting to see where the UFC goes from here. Obviously, we believe that Holly Holm and Misha Tate are going to have a battle at some point, and the winner is eventually going to take on Ronda Rousey for that title. And like you said, we'll see if it's a fluke or not. Anyways, some other big news to talk about. The college football season is winding down. It's getting really, really exciting. There's not really that true number one team.
Yeah, a lot of teams vying for
a lot of teams that are really, really strong. So I guess we'll kind of see how the next couple of weeks play out. There are some conference championships that are going to be decided in the next couple of weeks, or so I should say regular season conference champions. And then obviously we get into the college football playoff. So Mac, if you had to tell me who you believe the best team in the country is right now, who are you going to say?
It's got to be the Ohio State University.
You know what? I was really hoping you weren't going to say that.
As much, I'm a Michigan fan, but won. They won last year. They got the most depth from top to bottom. They have the experience from. They pulled a big upset last year. This year, it won't be as much of an upset. It's kind of like the Kansas City Royals. Last year, they were the Cinderella team, making it to the finals. Ohio State did them one better and won.
True.
And now they come back. Debatably, they're even better. They look even better. No reason to see why they can't run the table again.
No, yeah, for sure. Definitely some interesting points. I know if you read my blog, you'll know that I'm not an overly big fan of the Ohio State University.
Roll Tide.
To be honest, I think you're going to see them struggling to come out of the games against Michigan and Michigan State without a loss. I think those are some two quality football teams.
Agreed.
Ohio State hasn't really played a tough game yet on their schedule. They've had a couple mediocre ones, but I think going back to back against those two teams is really going to be tough for Ohio State. But like you said, I'm a massive Alabama fan, and therefore, I think that even as a fan, they are the most dominant team in college football. I mean, I know the polls have them, the playoff poll has them ranked at number 2, the AP poll has them ranked at number 3, but I don't really think that there's anyone better.
Oh, they did lose a football game.
They did lose a football game, mind you, early on in the year, but I think that if you look at both sides of the football, there's really no one better. I mean, Alabama is known for their defense. And that front four, they've had a lot of good front fours in the Nick Saban era, but there's no front four that is better than the one they have right now. I mean, I think they had 9 sacks against Michigan State and quarterback Dak Prescott. In my opinion, Dak Prescott is the best quarterback in the SEC. And they held him to 6 points, 2 field goals. They did not let him into the end zone. And they shut him down all game. I mean, in the first half, the offense wasn't really working, which might turn out to be a problem. I mean, they don't really have a solid quarterback. By no means do I consider Jake Coker to be a top quarterback. But then, on the offensive side of the ball, you have Derrick Henry, who, in my opinion, if the season ended today, is the Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, the dude just runs you over. He's ginormous.
Yeah, absolutely.
He could play defensive line if you really wanted him to. I mean, the dude is a beast. He goes for over 200 yards against tough defenses like LSU. Mississippi State does not have a fantastic defense by any means, but he just rolled them over. And I think last week's performance against LSU really kind of showed what he's capable of, and then the repeat performance against Mississippi State in another big game kind of shows that he's for real. He could take this title from Leonard Fournette, who did not have a great game this weekend in LSU's loss. So in my opinion, I think Alabama's the best team. I mean, obviously neither of us touched on who the college football ranking or playoff rankings number 1 team is. Clemson. Clemson's a fantastic team, but I think that the Tide are better. You think the Buckeyes are better. You could make cases for.
It's gonna be interesting.
You can make cases for all. It's gonna be really interesting to see how they come down the stretch.
It's gonna be close games, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm looking forward to tomorrow's ranking. I don't think anything's gonna change. I think you're gonna see the same number, the same 4 teams: Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, and Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see those 4 teams, maybe a little bit of juggling in terms of position, but it'll certainly be interesting to see what the college football playoff or where it goes from here. Because like I said, there are a lot of big conference championships coming down the wire. The Big 12 is going to be really interesting to see, especially with Baylor losing this weekend. So definitely some things to watch for. It's going to be really exciting coming down the stretch. And then, so one more thing to talk about today, we're going to try to keep it nice and short, is the Raptors. I mean, they started off really well.
5-0.
5-0. Then they drop a couple in a row.
Yep.
Get some wins. They ended up 7-3 going into last night's game against the Sacramento Kings, the lowly Sacramento Kings. They looked pretty good. I mean, they had a good start, and then they faltered off a little in the first half, and then they got it back in the third quarter.
Yeah, they were up 10 in the fourth, and they lost the game.
Yeah, I mean
They were up 10 in the fourth, and they lost the game.
So I guess my question is, what's wrong with the Raptors? Then, if you had to point out one problem that they've had, what do you think it is?
You can't really fault the defensive end. The defensive end's been consistently a lot better than last year. The new guys they brought in have helped a whole bunch.
Yep.
On the offense, though, I don't understand. Like, you see some games where they're really sharing the rock and stuff.
Yep.
And you see them, spreading the floor, getting those open looks, making them. Everybody's getting their looks. And then you have times like last night, late in the fourth quarter, where they just go back to the stupid stuff they pulled last year, like in the Washington series last year. Like, it's just give the ball to DeRozan, give the ball to Lowry, and ISO them.
Yep.
And everybody sees it coming, and they don't make the shots. Like, they're not LeBron James.
Yep.
They're not gonna. They can't just make the shot regardless of anything.
Yep.
They're flawed. Like, they're good players, but they're flawed players. They aren't perfect players. They aren't great players.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that I don't know what it is, why Dwayne Casey keeps deciding to go back, or whether it's a a play call that's coming from the court, but it
I
always
hope it
seems
isn't.
to be in a clutch situation. You have, like you said, DeRozan
Like,
doing
I
that.
hope those aren't the play calls.
For sure, that DeRozan crap where he's fading away with a hand right in his face.
Yeah,
and
trying to make the hero shots.
like those are like 1 in 5, 1 in 6
Yeah.
shots, right?
That's even for like a good player like him. Like
Yeah.
he has a 1 in 5.
Yeah, and obviously he has the skill set to pull off shots like that occasionally, but he's not, like you said, he's not a LeBron James. He's not someone that should be taking. I think he had 10 shots in 10 minutes in the fourth quarter, which is not
It's
who
too
he
much.
is. It is too much. I mean, and then the other thing that's annoying me as a fan is you see in the fourth quarter, I think over the past 3 games, Bismack Biyombo has played more than Jonas Valanciunas, which does not make any sense to me
Yeah.
as a Raptors fan. I mean, the dude has
Yeah.
arguably been our best player this year.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know. Dwayne Casey just doesn't have the confidence in him. So he's been playing a lot better, granted, but
Yeah.
like last night DeMarcus Cousins
Yeah.
was just going
Yeah.
off on him.
Yeah.
So I could see why you put Biyombo in the game to try to shut him down late,
Right.
but it didn't work.
Right.
It didn't
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
So if Biyombo can't prove to be a more mobile defender than JV, why don't you just keep JV in the game?
For sure.
He's gonna give you a solid option on the offensive end. And he's getting a heck of a lot better on defense as well. So he just seems like a better option at both ends of the
For sure.
floor.
Definitely. But, I mean, like you said, DeMarcus Cousins, I mean, kind of took over that game.
Yeah.
And on another note, former Raptor Rudy Gay was extremely efficient last night. Like, he was making some good plays, as much as we as Raptor fans don't want to admit it.
I mean, Rudy Gay, great player, inconsistent as...
Inconsistent as they come, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, it would have been nice. I don't mind them scoring points at the end of the game. What I don't mind, or what I have an issue with, is when we can't put the bucket, or the ball in the bucket.
Yeah, especially against a terrible defense like Sacramento.
Yeah, for sure.
You watch, and how many open looks do we have? So many.
Yeah.
So many. Especially in the first half.
Yeah, so for sure. I think if the Raptors are going to kind of take that next step, win some more games that maybe they shouldn't win in the regular season, and then have some playoff success.
Yeah.
I mean, they gotta stick to their offense.
They gotta share the ball.
Time. Share the ball. That's how they won 5 games to start the year.
Yep, they were sharing the ball. They were playing team ball.
But then you have shades of it early on. I mean, DeRozan's dishing out assists left, right, and center.
Yeah, you just got to do that for the whole 48 minutes.
For sure. So I think sharing the rock, play JV in the clutch situations. He's going to have to play eventually in those situations.
If you want him to be your man, you got to give him that experience.
So anyways, I think play JV, share the rock. Those are the keys to the Raptors' success.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's it for us. Mac, thanks for coming on the show again. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll do it again next week. So again, today we talked about Ronda Rousey. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens over the next year or so with the UFC, with her, Miesha Tate, and now Holly Holm. Again, college football. I think Alabama's a top team. Mac thinks the Ohio State University is the top team. It'll be really interesting to see how the conference championships play down.
Yeah, should be
and
crazy.
then the Raptors. The Raptors just got to keep passing the ball and let JV play in the fourth.
Golden State tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be a big game for sure. We're really going to see how this team matches up tomorrow. So anyways, thanks again, Mac, and we're going to do it again next week. Hope you enjoyed.